So let's talk about the typical learning cycle for each of the 12 chapters. Remember, first of all the formative work is 20%, summative is 80%. You can get all of your note packets copied from me in my room, so feel free to stop in whenever you can. Now, for each day's learning, how it's going to start is step one, you're either going to sometimes be asked to do an applet or a discussion question if it's applicable. If that's not applicable, then you're typically going to dive in and start taking notes by learning objective. And in doing this, you just watch the video and you can record the notes in the paper-based packet, or if you want, you can take notes online with your iPad by pulling up the electronic note packets that I have in the chapter resources. After that, there's the try the practice problems. These aren't required, but they are highly recommended. These practice problems are found copied in your packet, so you can use it like a workbook. Just click on the assignment online and you can actually see my handwritten responses to those. Following that, you're going to have another formative assessment, the stats homework quiz, which is online learning. You have 3 tries to pass this assignment. You must be 80% proficient to move on. If you don't make that requirement after 3 tries, you are locked out. Remember, you can come and see me, get some help, I'll unlock it, and you can move forward. Sometimes in the past, students, if they've hit try number 2 and they weren't making it, they would either email me or come and see me for help first to try to get not locked out on try 3. Typically then, step 5, you're going to have some multiple choice questions. Again, 3 tries on those, 80% proficient to move on. And then basically this entire process would just go over and over for all the daily learnings that we have. Now, in the middle of the chapter, we are going to have a mid-chapter free response. In that, you're going to open up a green puzzle piece and there's going to be a free response question. I want you to type up the response to the best of your ability. It's not graded, it's just for you to document. You're then going to read 2 different students' responses to that exact same question you just answered. And you're going to critique them and grade them in a discussion post, giving them points 1 through 4. After that, the actual answer is going to open up and you can see what the true answer was. That was kind of the practice round. Step 5, you're going to open up the free response assignment and you're going to print out the free response that's there for you. Print that out and then do your best write-up that you can. Take a photo of that and upload it to the assessment here. I will then grade it and give you the AP board scoring for it out of a 1, 2, 3, or 4. If you're not happy with your score, you can do a reflection of your free response and you can resubmit it up to 1 time. Now after the mid-chapter free response, you're then going to get a formative grade based on your pacing to date within that chapter. This assignment right here is going to be posted on a Schoology calendar and it's worth 200 formative points. If the day that it's posted, if you have achieved the mid-chapter free response by then, you will get the full 200 points showing that you are completely on pace. You will have up to 1 week to get the mid-chapter free response and your pacing score done. If that week has gone by and you still have not accomplished this, you get 0 points for your pacing and the score cannot be updated. And that would mean that you are behind pace for the chapter. If you get to this assignment anywhere within that week window, you will get somewhere between 0 and 200 points. You will receive 1 pacing score per chapter and it will always show up after your mid-chapter free response score. Overall, if you add up all of the formative points for this pacing of the 12 chapters, the impact on your complete grade would be up to 2%. So this could and could not make a difference to you. If you're striving for an A, this is going to be an important pacing to stay on track of. 2% of your total grade can make a difference. So please be cautious of getting behind pace in your chapter work. Now after all the learning is done, we're going to go into this review mode. We start off with a day of another free response practice. On here, step 1, I'm going to have a document of helpful hints for the chapter. Please read these hints. They're going to help you to prepare for the test and to really think about this free response. The chapter vocabulary is not as important, but it's a nice optional thing to take a look at if you would like. Then step 3, you're going to open up the free response assignment and see which free response is there for you to do. Print that out, again, write up your solution on that, take a picture of it and upload it. Similar to the mid-chapter free response, this one you can resubmit 1 more time if you're not happy or with the score that you get initially. Next, we're going to jump into the chapter review. I do have the reviews posted in your note packets. I do recommend doing the multiple choice and free response questions in your note packet, kind of like you're taking the official test. And then what I would do is go to the green puzzle piece on Schoology, submit your answers. You can easily check the multiple choice and some of the free response you can get some more insight on. At that point in time, if you're getting questions wrong and you're not sure why, feel free to hit that discussion board for the chapter at any point in time in the chapter and ask some questions. I will make sure to try to check that by 3 p.m. and get back to you as soon as I can. Now, as we're prepping for this 2-day test for Chapter 1, keep in mind only 4 chapters of the 12-hour 2-day test. But for this one, there's going to be some optional multiple choice practice you can do, and there's some optional free response practice. You do not have to do it, but the options are there. The multiple choice test is a single day. This one happens to be 10 questions. You get 2 choices per your multiple choice questions. I'm trying to give you partial credit. If your first answer is right, you get the full point. If the second one's right, you get half a point. I will always supply for you the AP formula sheet because you will have that available on the actual exam. The free response is typically going to be to 3 or 4 questions, and the formula sheet will also be supplied. Remember, the due date that's posted on Schoology is when I suggest to have these tests taken by. You have a 1-week extension to the deadline, in which the chapter tests must be taken by then. Now, let's say you think you're going to want to have to retake that exam. By the time you've taken this multiple choice test, though, if any formative work was not done by that deadline, you've now forfeited your right to retake the exam. So make sure your formative work is done by the deadline of that first multiple choice exam. If it is, then you can qualify for the retake. Come in and see me and sit down. We will go over your old test. We will get out your learning objective tracker and see which learning objectives you were struggling on and find you some extra relearning problems for that. You're going to have 1 week after the day of the test that you originally took to get this retake done. Now, to get this relearning plan, you must see me at least 2 days before the deadline for that retake. So there's that 1 week window. So in that 1 week window, make sure you see me ahead of time to get the relearning so you can practice and prepare, and then you'll have time to get the retake done by the deadline. The new score on your retake is going to be your final score. And that is what a typical chapter would look like.